Welcome to Esthetician Educator Training Program. This is a series titled Overview of Teaching Methodology for Esthetician Educators. My name is Erica and I'm the founder of Elite Aesthetics Academy in Denver, Colorado. And our academy is driven by aesthetic leaders who bring quality education with the latest aesthetic techniques and innovations to foster excellence in our students in preparation for licensure, certification, and work with the public. This series is going to go through the key components of teaching methodology. Esthetician educators not only need to be skilled practitioners, but also effective teachers. Our educators are going to be going through this series, and I wanted to make this available for and continue to improve their knowledge and how they can better assist students in the mission of licensure and preparing them to work with the public and marketplace. Today we're going to be going through adult learning theory. Before we begin with adult learning theory, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the different learning styles. In our academy, we take time to ask students on day one of every course to tell us about themselves, but also to tell us more about their learning styles and how they feel they absorb information best. So there's four main preferred learning styles. There's spatial, oral, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. Spatial comes from the word spatial, which is a Latin word spatium. It means space or room. This is for individuals who think images and learn best through visual and spatial relationships. Next is oral, and this comes from the Latin word oris, which means ear. Oral refers specifically to hearing or the sense of sound, and these learners learn best through listening. Kinesthetic. This is actually a Greek root that relates to movement. So you break it up into two different parts. There is kinesis, which is movement or motion, and aesthesis, which is sensation or perception. So this learner is someone who learns best through physical activity, hands-on experience, and movement. Lastly is reading and writing. So the word reading comes from the Old English word redan, which originally meant to advise, interpret, or guess. Over time, its meaning evolved to refer specifically to the act of interpreting written or printed text. This is a preferred learning style for individuals who absorb information best through written words, manuals, and note-taking. So if we are dealing with a visual learner or a spatial learner, how they learn best, it's through their sight, it's through their eyes, and so focusing and taking time to go through diagrams, reading notes, watching demos. These learners are thinking pictures. They often enjoy drawing or doodles. They have a really great understanding of spatial awareness. Now, when they are studying, they prefer quiet environments. We have to understand, remember what they see rather than what they hear. They prefer charts, graphs, color-coded notes, and images. They like to watch a process before trying it themselves. Strategies to incorporate is first using the slides, infographics, and also printing handouts. We can also write on the board or use flip charts during lessons, and then incorporating videos, diagrams of skin layers, or facial mapping. And we can always encourage students to sketch out treatment plans or protocols ahead of time to memorize steps, sequence, and even techniques. Next is a tactile learner, kinesthetic learner. These people learn best through movement, touch, hands-on practice. So they learn by doing. They can fidget, they can move while they're learning, they enjoy role-playing simulations, real-world practice, lab demonstrations, and even tasks. They are learning by doing and physically engaging with the material. They can struggle with long lectures or passive learning They really are going to thrive during those practical sessions or in our esthetician program, our clinical phase, our final phase, labs, and demonstrations. Tactile learners. Some strategies to incorporate: allow for frequent hands-on practice with equipment and products, use role-playing or treatment simulations, incorporate movement-based activities like walking through treatment stations, and then let students physically manipulate the tools or create their own spa setup. So that's why in our academy we do have individual rooms. We show them how to set up and break down rooms. We show them where supplies are. And so we try to make it as much as possible a real world application to prepare them for practicing with the public. Next is auditory learners. These learners learn best by listening to lectures, discussions, music, verbal instructions. Spoken information is easily remembered. They enjoy talking things through. They have strong verbal and listening skills. They may read aloud or talk to themselves when studying. Some teaching strategies is including group discussions, Q&A sessions. We can use rhythmic repetition or mnemonic devices, provide recorded lectures or audio guides, and encourage students to explain concepts out loud. Lastly is reading and writing learners. These learners are learning best through text, writing notes, lists, reports. Some traits: they prefer books, handouts, written directions. They enjoy researching and note-taking. They often have strong grammar and vocabulary, and they often need quiet time to absorb material. Some great strategy is providing printed manuals, workbooks, written instructions. We can assign written reflections or journals. Also assignments like writing the steps on note cards. We can always encourage outlining and rewriting key information. Bonus tip and how we feel students are grasping information, especially in our advanced courses, is we are trying to do multi-model trainings and lesson planning. So most learners benefit from a blend of these styles. The best teaching approach is to offer varied content delivery, so visual, verbal, hands-on, and written, especially in beauty, medical aesthetics, or technical training environments. So what I encourage you to do with this information is to think about each individual lesson plan and ensure that you're covering these 4 bases. Am I covering tactile learners? Am I covering reading and writing? Am I covering oral? Am I covering spatial? Perfect. That is a solid lesson plan. Or how can I improve it to accommodate even further? Adult learning theory, what we have to understand is we're not working with children. How adults learn, there's 4 different key components. First is self-direction. Adults want to take charge of their learning. Next is life experiences. They bring prior knowledge to the classroom. Goal orientation. They are usually career or results focused. And lastly, practical application. Emphasis should be placed on real-world relevance. Adults love autonomy. Autonomy refers to the ability to make independent decisions and have control over one's own actions, choices, and direction. In education and personal development, it means allowing individuals to take ownership of their learning or behavior without constant external control. Self-directed learning in our academy, a principle is they prefer autonomy and control over their learning process. So what this looks like in application is we're allowing students to choose elective modules, whether it's lash lifts, dermaplaning, PMU, advanced specialties, and we're allowing this through Know Your Niche project. We do offer flexible learning formats like self-paced theory with in-person labs, and we encourage student-led case studies where they analyze or they're creating treatment plans, and this is why we have our case study project. Experience as a learning resource. Adults bring personal and professional experience to the classroom which enhances learning. This will look like peer teaching, having experienced students share tips and teach each other during lab or discussions, and then using client scenarios to promote critical thinking. So how would you treat X skin type with Y concern? And encourage reflective journaling after hands-on discussion. In our academy, we often perform Q&A or check-in, pop quizzes, and even just look at these specific examples of these face shapes, of these Fitzpatricks, and what would be best, what would not be ideal. This is an exercise we can incorporate throughout our advanced modality trainings and even our basic 600-hour. Goal-oriented learning. Our students and adults are motivated by practical career-focused goals. So this application, what we need to be doing is aligning every lesson with real-world outcomes. For example, by mastering the Brazilian wax technique, you'll be job ready at a waxing studio. And every part of lesson plans should have an end goal or end result in mind so the student can get on board with this is what we're doing to get to this outcome or this result. Next, we want to integrate portfolio building into the curriculum for photos, charting, service logs, treatment plans, treatment notes. And what we have to drill down is when they're mastering each treatment, it's going to tie to licensure or employment goals or just client outcome. Next is relevance to real life. So adults need to see the immediate value of what they're learning. We should always start each lesson by explaining why it matters. So lash lifts are among the most in-demand treatments. Let's make you confident in them. We can also use real client case studies or med spa success stories. And one thing our academy is doing right now is we have a project going on, an ongoing campaign to invite in more guest speakers who are elite practitioners in our field within each specific niche to share how they use specific techniques daily, information daily, to help bridge this understanding that the theory and time that they're spending is going to get to this outcome of them being able to perform in-demand treatments in the workplace. Internal motivation is key. Adults are often driven by passion, purpose, and confidence. Rather than grades or approval, students are more likely to have a positive outcome in each module and with each instructor if we can help drive passion, purpose, confidence. So we want to provide positive feedback, celebrate skill mastery, not just test scores. And our test scores need to reflect if mastery has been achieved. We want to make sure when we're interacting with students, we're doing this in a positive way that creates a safe, inclusive classroom where questions and creativity are encouraged. We can also allow students to specialize or build their personal brand with our Build Your Brand Story project within our trainings. We're trying to not only give them the information we have, we're trying to get them to digest it, to get their passion, to get their purpose, to get their confidence on levels. So when they leave us, they're going to continue in their aesthetics journey. Some bonus tips for teaching strategies for aesthetic instructors with adult learners. We want to be using blended learning. So we want to combine our online modules for theory with our in-person labs. So all of our online modules are theory hours. What needs to happen secondary to each of those is hands-on clinical training. For the most part, we are doing a really great job of this in our academy. Next is providing checklists and hands-on rubrics so students know what success looks like. We provide these ahead of time at orientation. They know that they're going to have to test out with those final rubrics with passing grades. They know every single item on there that's going to be graded and what points are assessed for those. But just taking extra time to make sure They understand this is the flow and there's points available for each of those and what is weighted higher or more important. Next, we can offer real client practice opportunities under supervision. So we have our finals, we also have our case study project, and then we lead into phase final. Tools and demonstrations to match diverse adult learning styles. Thank you for attending.